This section here is going to go over pages 39 and 40 of the workbook, which deals with circles. Let's just get started with the problems. So I moved problem 1 because it's kind of small and I don't have enough room to write everything that I need to. But it says in circle O, remember we name a circle based on the center of it. So that's why this is circle O. Angle RST is formed by chord RS and diameter ST. So the angle we're looking at is here, RST. It has a measure of 60 degrees. If the diameter is 12, so that means the diameter is 12, what is the length of chord TR? So we're looking for, I'm going to put in blue, we're looking for chord TR, that's X. One other piece of information we know, since ST is a diameter, that means that this right here is 180 degrees. And angle R, angle SRT, is an inscribed angle. So what we have here is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. There's a couple different ways you can solve this. I'm going to solve it using SOHCAHTOA. So what I have here, I'm going to rewrite the right triangle. So across from 90, I have 12. So across from 90, I have 12. And across from 60, I have X. So do you see how I did that? All I did was kind of transform the triangle to make it more friendly. So the hypotenuse is 12 and X is the opposite side from 60. So if you're a little bit stuck on this, make sure to watch the video on right triangles, because we're going to use sine. We have opposite over hypotenuse. So the sine of 60 degrees is going to be equal to X over 12. And whenever X is on top, that means we're going to multiply it. So X is going to be equal to 12 sine of 60. When I type it in the calculator, I see that I get 10.39. Now, in order to check my answer, because I don't have an approximation, I'm going to have to type in each of these. So 6 square root of 3 is actually going to be the right answer. Remember, you need to type in each of these until you get the correct answer. So for number 1, the answer is going to be C. So let's move on to question 2. Question 2 talks about a property that we really didn't mention much at all at class. But it's the same thing as this property right here. So these are some properties that might be on the SOL. We might have one question covering all of these. But we're going to use A times B equals C times D. One way to remember this is that it kind of looks like we have an X in the middle. So we're going to multiply. So I take this chord here, which is 2x, and I set it equal to 5 times 3. So I'm multiplying both parts. Whenever I clean that up, I'm going to get 2x is equal to 15. Dividing by 2, I get x is equal to 7.5. Let's move down to number 3. So this one here, we don't need to focus too much on what the words say. We're looking for angle BAC. In order to solve for this, we need to figure out what this arc is. That's one way to solve it. So what I have here is I have 180 and 40. So I'm asking, what else do I need to add to get to 360? And that's going to be 40 degrees. So I did that because 140 plus 180 plus 40 equals 360. This angle right here is an inscribed angle. So this is an inscribed angle. Remember, that's an angle that's formed with the vertex being on the circle. So all I do is multiply 1/2 times 40, which is the outside arc, and I get my final answer of 20 degrees. Let's move down to number 4. It says the logo of an airline is a circle inscribed in a triangle. So let's fill in the values here. We're given AF is 8 and AB is 11. And we're asked to solve for BD, that's X. One thing you should remember about tangent lines. Remember, tangent, inscribed, that means the same thing. It means it's only going to touch the circle one time. So this triangle touches the circle one time on each line. And what I do is I have equal values there. So that means AD is equal to 8. And it means X needs to equal 3 because 8 plus 3 equals 11. If I wanted to finish the rest of this, I could know this is 3. I wouldn't have any way of figuring out what CF or CE is. But those are things that you need to remember about tangent lines. So our answer is 3 for number 3. I'm going to erase this. If I'm going too fast at any time, don't be afraid to pause the video or rewind it to listen to what I said. So the last one we have is question 5. It says rectangle ABCD is inscribed in a circle. If the measure of arc AB is 140, what is the measure of arc BC? So we're looking for this right here. So since it's a rectangle, I know that this whole thing, so let me do this in blue, this whole thing needs to be 180 degrees. Everything in blue. The X part, which is just this little part right here, whenever I add those two up, it equals 180. So X has to equal 40. So remember, we have another inscribed angle. It's formed by the vertex being on the circle. Remember, this is the vertex right here, D. It's on the circle. So I cut it in half, or in this case, I double 90 to get to 180. So in order to solve problem 6, we need to go back to those formulas that we really didn't do a lot with earlier in the year. This case, we have 8, which is a tangent. We have 4, and we have X. So going back, I see the one that has the tangent is number 3 here. So using those numbers as before, I'm going to have T is equal to 8. So let's go back here. T is this side that's 8. It's the tangent side. The side that's outside the triangle is 4. So Y is going to equal 4. And the last value I have is Z is going to equal X. So remember, Z is the part inside the triangle. Y is the part outside the triangle. So the part inside the triangle is X. The part outside the triangle is 4. That's how we relate this, and we're going to substitute these values in. So let's do it. So I have Y plus Z times Y is equal to T squared. And then I'm going to just substitute everything. So it's going to be 4 plus X times 4 is equal to 8 squared. The first step is to distribute this. 16 plus 4X is equal to 8 squared is 64. When I subtract 16, 4X is equal to 48. And the last thing I do is divide by 4. And I'm going to get my measure of X is equal to 12. So I'm asked to find the measure of CD, and I see that CD is equal to X, so I'm done. For question 7, you need to find the shaded area. So since this whole line right here is equal to 180, I know that the shaded part needs to be 135, because 135 plus 45 is 180. I'm told that RP is equal to 8. So that means the radius has to be 4. So now I'm ready to solve the problem. I need to know my formula though. The formula that's given to you here is this one right here. It's where we make a proportion. That'll get you the right answer. But what I've been telling my students the whole time is to use this formula. And all it is a modified version of the proportion right there. So I take pi times 4 squared, because the radius is 4, and I'm going to multiply by 135 over 360. So I'm going to type that in my calculator. Pi times 4 squared, and I'm going to multiply it by 135 over 360. And I get an answer of 18.849, and it keeps going on forever. So I need to get this in terms of pi. So there's a couple ways I can do this. I can either divide it by pi, which is 6, or I can keep entering values in until I get the correct answer. So B will be my final answer, 6 pi. For number 8, we're going to use the same exact formula. This time our central angle is 72 degrees. Remember, the central angle is going to be the exact same thing. So I have my radius of 8. So I'll do this one in blue to the left. So it's going to be pi times 8 squared times 72 over 360. I just put in all the values. So you get pi times 8 squared times 72 over 360. And I get about 40.2. If I need to figure it out what it is in terms of pi, it would be 12.8 pi. So number 9 is very similar to 7 and 8. First, I can find this total shaded in area in red. So I can do that using the same exact formula. So pi times 10 squared. This time my central angle is 90 over 360. But I have one more step. I need to subtract the area of the rectangle, or sorry, the triangle. So remember, this triangle has a base of 10 and a height of 10. So it's going to be 1/2 times 10 times 10. This is the area of the triangle. I'm subtracting it because it's not being shaded in. So I can just type all of that in at the same time in my calculator. So I get pi times 10 squared times 90 over 360 minus 1/2 times 10 times 10. And I'm going to get 28.5 about. This one here, I can't just divide everything by pi to get an exact value because the triangle doesn't have any term of pi in it. So this one here asks us how much wood is needed for the tabletop. You might be a little confused on what to do, but you see the answer here is in square feet. So that means it's going to be an area problem. Again, the area of a circle is pi r squared. This time it's half a circle, so I'm going to divide it by 2. I'm going to take 1/2 of the circle. The radius is going to be equal to 2. 4 is the diameter. So I just plug in my numbers. So pi times 2 squared over 2. And I just enter it straight into my calculator. And I get this number. Again, I can try all the values to see which one's going to be the same. And I see it's going to be 2 pi. So my answer is going to be A. So I hope this video is helpful and that you'll watch the other ones to help you pass your SO.